Hades Horror Files.
I never told my parents what really happened to my little sister. The official story was that she drowned. That's what the police believed. That's what the town believed. But that's not what happened. And every year when October comes around, I start hearing knocking under my bed again. It happened 12 years ago, back when I was 16 and my sister Lily was 13. We grew up in a small town in northern Wisconsin where everybody knew everybody. Nothing exciting ever happened there. No murders, no disappearances, no real crime. Just forests, miles and miles of forests surrounding everything. Our house sat near the edge of town beside an old dirt road that barely anyone used anymore. Behind the house was a massive stretch of woods that Lily and I used to explore all the time as kids. There was one place in those woods we were always told to avoid. An abandoned church. Not a normal abandoned church either. The place looked rotten. The roof sagged inward. The windows were broken. Black vines crawled across the walls like veins. Even during the daytime, the woods around it always felt darker somehow. People in town had stories about it. Most claimed it used to belong to some strange religious group back in the 70s. Others said people disappeared there. Of course, none of that stopped teenagers from daring each other to visit it. That's how all of this started. One Friday night, Lily begged me to take her there. I said no immediately, mostly because our parents would have killed me if they found out. But Lily had this way of wearing people down. She kept insisting it would be fun. She wanted to see something creepy. She thought ghost stories were exciting. Eventually, I gave in. Biggest mistake of my life. We waited until our parents went to sleep, then snuck out around midnight with flashlights and jackets. It was freezing outside. The woods were dead silent except for leaves crunching under our boots. I remember Lily walking ahead of me, excited, talking non-stop, while I kept telling her to quiet down. When we finally reached the church, I immediately felt uncomfortable. The building looked even worse up close. The front doors hung partially open. The stained glass windows were shattered, and there was this smell. Wet wood and something rotten underneath it. Lily smiled nervously. This place is awesome. I wanted to leave right then. But then she found the Ouija board. It sat on what used to be the altar at the front of the church, covered in dust. Unlike everything else in the building, it looked untouched. The board was made of dark, polished wood with carved letters instead of printed ones. There were strange symbols burned around the edges I didn't recognize. And beside it sat the planchette, perfectly centered, like someone had just left it there waiting for us. "We are absolutely not touching that," I told her immediately. But Lily already had that look in her eyes, curious, excited. "It's probably fake." "That's worse," I said, "because it means someone's been here recently." She laughed. Then she sat down on the floor in front of it. I should have dragged her out right then. Instead, I sat across from her. Even now, I hate myself for that. We placed our fingers on the planchette. The church was freezing cold. Wind howled softly through broken windows somewhere behind us. Lily grinned. "Hello? Any ghosts in here?" Nothing happened. I relaxed a little. Then the church bell rang. One loud metallic clang above us. Both of us jumped violently. The church didn't even have a bell anymore. I knew that because the tower had collapsed years earlier. Lily laughed nervously. "Okay, that was weird." Then the planchette moved, slowly. Yes. I stared at her immediately. "You pushed it." "No, I didn't." Her smile had disappeared. The board moved again before either of us touched it. Waited. Long. I felt cold spread through my chest. Lily whispered, "Who are you?" The planchette slid carefully across the board. M-A-R-R-O-W. Marrow, I read aloud. The candles around the church suddenly lit. All at once. I swear to God they did. Old melted candles sitting along the walls burst into flame without warning. Warm orange light filled the church. Lily grabbed my arm hard. "We need to go!" I nodded immediately. But before we could move, the church doors slammed shut behind us. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Lily screamed. I ran to the doors instantly and pulled at them. They wouldn't budge, not locked. Held, like someone on the other side was pulling them closed. Then came knocking. 3 slow knocks from outside the church doors. Boom! 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 Not normal knocking, heavy, like something enormous stood out there. Lily backed away from the doors, shaking. The Ouija board scraped loudly behind us. The planchette moved rapidly across the wood by itself. "Don't!" "Open." The knocking came again, harder. Boom, boom, boom! Dust fell from the ceiling. Then we heard voices outside. Dozens of voices whispering together. I couldn't make out the words at first. Then slowly they became clearer. "Let us in." "Please!" "It's cold." Lily started crying. I pulled her toward the back of the church, away from the doors. That's when we noticed the footprints. Wet footprints, leading down the center aisle toward us. The problem was, they were appearing in real time. One by one, as if something invisible was walking toward us. Wet footprints pressed into the dust-covered floorboards. Step, 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 stopping directly beside the Ouija board. The church became completely silent. Then the planchette moved again. "He found you." Something dropped from the ceiling behind us. A loud, wet thud. We turned and saw a man crouching in the darkness near the confessional booth. At least, I think it had once been a man. He was impossibly thin. Long arms bent at strange angles. His skin looked pale gray, stretched tightly over bones. And his face. No eyes. Just empty black sockets leaking dark liquid down his cheeks. Lily screamed louder than I'd ever heard anyone scream before. The thing smiled. Its jaw cracked open unnaturally wide. Then it stood. Its head nearly touched the ceiling. I grabbed Lily's hand and ran. The creature moved instantly, not running, jerking. Its limbs snapped violently as it crawled across the pews toward us faster than anything human should move. We reached the side hallway leading toward the basement stairs. I don't know why we ran there. Panic makes terrible decisions for you. The basement smelled awful. Rotting water and mold. We slammed the door shut behind us while the thing hammered against it from upstairs. Bang, bang, bang! Lily sobbed beside me. I shined my flashlight around the basement. Old furniture, broken chairs, flooded concrete floor, and symbols, hundreds of symbols carved into the walls. Circles, strange letters, names scratched over and over. Somebody had written the same sentence across the far wall repeatedly in black paint. "He wears their voices." Then came Lily's voice from upstairs. "Ethan!" I froze. Lily was standing right beside me. The voice came again, perfectly copying her. "Help me." The thing outside the basement door started laughing, except it laughed in different voices. Male, female, children, all layered together. Then came my mother's voice. "Open the door." Lily buried her face against my shoulder, crying. The basement lights suddenly flickered on. I wish they hadn't. Because that's when we saw the water. The flooded floor wasn't just water. Bodies floated beneath the surface. Pale faces staring upward through murky black water. Dozens of them. I nearly vomited. Then one of the bodies opened its eyes. The lights went out immediately afterward. Something moved in the water, fast, splashing toward us. We ran deeper into the basement while things moved beneath the black water around our legs. Hands touched my ankles underwater, cold fingers grabbing. Lily screamed behind me. I turned just in time to see pale hands dragging her downward into the darkness. I grabbed her arm. For 1 second, I actually had her. I remember her nails digging into my wrist while she cried for help. Then something under the water pulled harder, and she disappeared beneath the surface, just gone. I screamed her name over and over while searching blindly through the water. Nothing. No splash, no movement, only silence. Then I heard her voice behind me. "Ethan!" I turned slowly. Lily stood at the far end of the basement hallway, completely dry, smiling, but something was horribly wrong with her face. Her smile stretched too wide. Her eyes looked black. And when she spoke again, multiple voices came out at once. "He knows you now." The basement door upstairs burst open. Heavy footsteps thundered downward. I ran. I don't even remember getting out of the church. I just remember cold air hitting my face and branches tearing at me while I sprinted through the woods alone. I never saw Lily again. Search teams looked for weeks. They found nothing except our flashlights near the church. The building burned down 3 days later. Nobody knows how. But here's the part I never told the police. The night after Lily disappeared, I woke up around 3 a.m. to the sound of knocking under my bed. 3 slow knocks. Boom, boom, boom. I thought I was dreaming. Then Lily's voice whispered from underneath me. "Don't let him wear mine." The knocking still happens every October. Always 3 knocks. Always at 3 a.m. And last year, for the first time in 12 years, I heard another voice answer her from beneath the bed. Mine.